Good morning. Welcome to WBRZ Morning News. I'm Joe Collins, and we're going to get straight to weather with meteorologist Dave Baker. Dave, what can you tell us about what's happening or what is going to happen out there?
Well, tailgaters that are setting up and also starting to get partying out there are going to be running into some rain here in Baton Rouge. We got a lot of cloud cover, but the rain is right on the west side of the river right now. 68 degrees is your current temperature. So let's get right into the radars. And again, there's a pretty good line of thunderstorms when it crossed out of Texas into southwestern Louisiana. Had some severe weather over there. Things have calmed down, though, over the last couple of hours, which is good news for those of you who do have those outdoor plans, especially over on the bluff and down toward LSU's campus for tailgating. But unfortunately, you are going to end up getting wet. This is all part of a larger system that's back over the Texas and Oklahoma panhandle. And we've got this round of rain that's coming through, but we've got another round that will develop tonight that should push through during the overnight period. Now, how's that going to affect the game? Right now, I think the first round's going to get out of the way, and we might be okay for both games, Southern and LSU. But you can see here as we cross the river over into Point Capee, we've got the heavier downpours on 190 back toward Livonia. We've also got the I-10 through Iberville Parish over toward Gross Tet, and then you drop that down. Plaquemine, you're starting to get on the action, but you can see it's hugging the Mississippi River right now. And for those of you who might want to get out there and tailgate, you're going to get some rain, but fortunately, the amounts of rain look a little bit less than what we were seeing earlier, and also the severity of it too. But there still could be some lightning out there, and since you're going to be outside, if you're hearing thunder, it's close enough to be struck. In fact, some of these lightning strikes can go 25 miles away from the actual storm. So if you hear thunder, go ahead and move inside. Make sure you're covered and stay away from any electronics, and just make sure you get inside and be safe. Also, this is a good time to download our free mobile app. That way you can check out the radar when you need to, get any weather alerts and all of your current conditions. And for today, 80% on the rain chance, at least for the next few hours. I'm going to go over the timeline for the rest of the afternoon and the overnight period coming up in just a few minutes. Right now, we're going to send it over to Joe. He's got a little breaking news here on this Saturday morning.
That's right, Dave. One person was killed and another injured after a single vehicle crash early this morning on I-12 in Denham Springs. According to the Denham Springs Police Department, officers were called to the westbound lanes of I-12 near mile marker 8 around 7:30 a.m. Investigators say the vehicle suffered a tire blowout, causing it to overturn. The driver was ejected from the vehicle and pronounced dead at the scene. A passenger was taken to a hospital for treatment. Authorities have not released the names of those involved as the crash remains under investigation. Well, it's the biggest home game of the year for the LSU Tigers as they welcome number 3 Texas A&M to Death Valley. Hunter McCann and Bree Andrews have got the story of today's game.
Thanks, Joe. Good morning. Bree Andrews, Hunter McCann here joining you as we get you ready for LSU and Texas A&M. Now, we would usually be outside at the PMAC with Tiger Stadium behind us, but because of some pretty nasty weather we're expecting today, we've moved the party in studio, but nonetheless, still a lot to get to as we get you ready for this game tonight on WBRZ. Hunter, we're entering week 9 of the season, game 8 for LSU. They're 5-2, not where anyone hoped they would be, obviously, and it seems like it's still the same issues the Tigers are facing week in and week out.
You were hoping that this game would be a matchup between possibly 2 top 10 teams at this point in the season whenever preseason rolled around. Instead, you find a 5-2 LSU team, and at this point, you hope the LSU would only have 1 loss probably on their schedule if you would ask me in the preseason. Instead, it feels like tonight's do or die, because if you lose a 3rd game in the season, especially a conference game, it's very difficult and your back is against the wall for the Tigers to make their way into the postseason and into the playoffs, or a lot of us felt like that was the floor for their season, was this Brian Kelly squad to get into the playoffs. But Brian Kelly talked about it earlier this week. The most important thing for him is having the results on the scoreboard, positive results, and it's going to have to start tonight against Texas A&M.
Our last 9 quarters of offense have been trending to where we need to be, right? We're running the football with effectiveness. We're targeting the receivers that need to. We got to get Aaron Anderson probably involved a little bit more now that he's healthy. He's a big play guy. And then defensively, we need to continue to play like we had played in the first half. And if we do that, we get both sides of the ball playing complementary football. I think I've said it more than once, that we haven't played that complementary football where both sides are hitting on all cylinders. We just haven't hit that point yet.
And you're running out of time to hit that point. I mean, he says they're not clicking yet, Bree, but I mean, You got to start doing it now if you want to have that opportunity to be playing in the postseason.
Yeah, if you're not clicking now, when are you going to click? I mean, we're already well into the back half of the season. I mean, you only really have about a month and some change left. And like you said earlier, if you lose the third game, trying to get back into playoff contention is harder and harder, and possibly even out of your chances at that point.
Yeah.
But LSU's offensive line has really been struggling. We've noticed it early on. We actually expected it during fall camp, knowing how new this offensive line was, and their struggles have just become more apparent each week. Yes, they've gotten better in running the ball more efficiently and whatnot, but they did lose Tyree Adams against Vanderbilt last week, their left tackle, and they'll have to replace him this week. They're going to replace him with the true freshman, Carius Kearns, starting at left tackle. But Hunter, it's really going to take them being physical enough to be able to compete in the SEC, and Brian Kelly spoke on that earlier this week.
I think we need to be more physical. I think there's always the need for physicality, right? How you play this game really is about who you are. You know, football is a game of violent collisions, and certainly from an offensive line standpoint, you know, everybody's going to look towards the physicality there on the offensive line. Those are the best 5 guys we got out there. If we had, you know, another group, we'd certainly play them as well. So, listen, everybody, you know, is going to look at this and has their opinions, and I respect everybody's opinion. But there's no doubt that anytime you evaluate your football team, the first thing you're going to look for is physicality.
Hunter, we've even seen some former LSU players kind of calling out that LSU kind of has lost that physicality this season, but they really have to make a lot of tweaks with this offense to really get it clicking, especially against a good Texas A&M defense, and I think that really boils down to just making things a whole lot more simple.
Well, it's great that you're addressing it. It's great you're talking about it. Now it's time to do it, and that's really what it comes down to with this offensive line is they're not being physical enough to compete in the SEC, and now with the injury concerns, and you're going to have to put Carius Kearns at left tackle, you got to find a way to get this offense to start meshing again. Brian Kelly talked about it this week. You know, he's kind of stepping back into the role a little bit of assisting with the offensive play calling, but he's more there to put his opinion in and veto things more so than call the plays. But the most important thing is simplifying this offense to give them the best chance to have successful plays and eventually move the ball down the field consistently.
We started doing that about 3 weeks ago. I think right after the Ole Miss game, I talked to Coach Sloan and said, and Coach Hankton, look, we need to shorten this inventory and be better at the things that have been highly efficient for us. So I think we went into that process about 3 weeks ago through the bye week, and I think it's proved to be effective for us. So, yeah, I would agree with you, and I think we've shown that, you know, offensively that that's where we're heading.
Well, I hope that's where they're heading, because we're going to have to see that tonight against Texas A&M. But the offensive side of the ball, we've talked about the same problems and concerns. So once again, they have to see if this offense finally awakens tonight and what could be a little bit of messy weather against Texas A&M. But on the defensive side of the ball, Bree, it was the first game when LSU played last week against Vanderbilt where the defense kind of had an off game. And really, it comes back to that energy within the locker room of putting that defense like back onto its flow and having a good night tonight back at home.
Yeah, and you had to think, too, back at Vanderbilt last week, LSU was without 2 of their best defensive players. Whit Weeks at linebacker, he was out, and so was defensive lineman Bernard Gooden. Now, good news is that Gooden is probable for tonight's game, but Whit Weeks may have to miss another one. He is doubtful for tonight. I mean, that does really add some energy and some boost, and just the leadership in general from Whit Weeks. He's really taken on that role this year. So LSU is really going to have to find someone to find that spark in the defense to lead them to being able to get after, especially Lenore Sellers, another mobile quarterback they're going to have to be able to stop. They failed to do it for the most part last week against Diego Pavia. They allowed him to rush for 86 yards. He was averaging over 5 yards a carry, and so was the entire Vanderbilt offense, 239 rushing yards. So LSU has to learn from those mistakes and find some fire within their defense.
I think we felt like maybe we lost a little bit of that energy that had been apparent with our group. So you can imagine that's the first thing that I addressed on Sunday. You know, how if they don't play, you know, where is it coming from? We had a couple of guys come and speak to the team right after the game from the defensive side of the ball, speaking on that in particular. So they're aware of it. We know that we have to have that kind of energy on defense to play the kind of defense we need to play.
Hunter, LSU's coming off a loss, trying to fix their issues that have been plaguing them all season long. And the same could be said for the Southern Jaguars across town. They're 1-6, not in a good spot this season, and a lot changed over on the Bluff earlier this week. We'll get to that after the break, but first, let's get a check on that weather with Dave Baker.
Well, we don't have the weather, that's okay, but there's more sports coming up across Baton Rouge as down on the Bluff. The Southern Jags get ready to play their first game under their new interim head coach, Fred McNair. They're going to take on Florida A&M. Stay right here. We'll be right back with more Saturday morning news.
Price LeBlanc Automotive.
70 years with price advantage and still going strong.
Still putting our customers first.
More than ever, the place to go for quality and reliability.
Some call it longevity.
Some may call it a legacy.
We call it family tradition.
Darwin.
Every step is killer.
Each spin is a thriller.
It's Halloween night. Downright creepy, deliciously spooky fun.
Halloween night on Dancing with the Stars, live ABC Tuesday.
In South Louisiana, weather can turn on a dime. Be informed.
Count on the WBRZ Storm Station 7-day forecast to keep you prepared for the next big weather event.
Sponsored by me, Peyton Murphy, Louisiana's injury lawyer.
Hi, Pat here. For 38 years, we've been getting it done to make sure that kids are warm in our area.
Hi, Gordon McKernan here, and for over 30 years, we also have been getting it done for those in need. If you'd like to join us in giving, scan the QR code or send a check. Just $25 purchases a new coat for a child in need.
Thanks, Gordon, and thanks to the McKernan family for these many years of assistance. Together, we'll get it done.
For decades, Louisiana Tree Service and owner Scott Courtright have cared for the trees of the greater Baton Rouge community, applying the science of trees, safety, and stewardship. We don't just cut down trees. Our certified experts diagnose, preserve, and guide their growth to ensure stronger homes, safer neighborhoods, and a better community. Don't trust just anyone with your trees. Trust the experts who've cared for Baton Rouge's trees for decades. Grounded in knowledge, rooted in care. Call or visit us online today.
At Priceville Nissan,
We keep it real.
get our best real deal price on every new Nissan in stock. Get 0 APR or 5,000 customer cash on new Nissans. Get your real deal today at Priceville Nissan,
Airline Highway in Gonzales.
where family makes a difference.
Darwin.
From the official news station of LSU Athletics, this is WBRZ Morning News at 10.
I've coached against Southern so many years, and when I came here, this wasn't my intent. But, you know, like I said, I thank Coach Banks for giving this opportunity to be an interim coach and just to get this program moving forward in the best way that I can.
Good morning and welcome back. We're going to switch gears, head across town, check in with the Southern Jags. A lot of changes over on the Bluff earlier this week. You may have heard, you may have not heard. If you haven't heard, well, you've been living under a rock because Southern has fired head coach Terrence Graves. He was fired Monday evening, and Fred McNair, who started the season as the quarterback's coach, then he was promoted to co-offensive coordinator and play caller. Now he's been promoted again to the interim head coach. Now, Coach McNair has coached at a very high level, especially in the SWAC. He was the head coach at Alcorn for a number of years, led them to multiple SWAC championships, but now he's leading the charge, at least for the rest of the season, for Southern. Now, it's a lot of confusion going on. Southern going through 4 head coaches in the last 5 years, kind of wondering what the problem is, but the Jags are really just focused on getting back in the win column. Hunter, they have not won a game since August 30th, and much like LSU, their offense is their Achilles heel.
Yeah, and I think the biggest thing was the hype going into the season. You felt like this was a Jaguars team that was going to compete for the SWAC, similar to when they made it to the SWAC championship last year, but they had not met those expectations. They didn't meet him under Coach Graves, and so they ultimately have to make that change, and it's all about finishing the season on the right foot. You're 1-6, got 5 games left to kind of figure it out, and you hope that it starts against FAMU this afternoon.
Absolutely, and Coach McNair, he is no stranger, like we said earlier, to being a head coach and taking on that pressure. But I imagine for these players, having lose their head coach in the middle of the season, it can't be hard because we know as well as anyone that Coach Graves really did care about his guys and vice versa. They cared about him. But they are keeping their eyes focused on what's most important, and that, of course, is beating FAMU tonight on the Bluff. And Coach McNair kind of told us about his team's response once the news broke on Monday afternoon.
I got a lot of attention last night in terms of what I told them and what my expectation was for them in terms of moving forward. You know, the little things that really matters in terms of my coaching, just the small stuff that they kind of fix. And I think last night was a pivotal point that where I really got their attention, where all eye was on Coach McNair last night and not on the water bottles.
Coach McNair trying to get these Jags back on track as they were expected to. This is their worst start in over 50 years, and a big problem for them has been their offense. We've seen flashes, we've seen some big plays, some big runs, but nothing really sustainable, nothing consistent all year long. And every loss that they had has not even been close. Athletic Director Roman Banks even said it's not about the losses, it's about how you lose. And that is what's really plagued the Jags so far this season. But they're trying to get back on the right track. But this quarterback issue, it's been something that's gone on for years, but this season especially, they've been through 3 quarterbacks so far, Hunter.
Yeah, I mean, they just can't find any rhythm offensively, and you know better than anybody what you need to have an offensive structure that continuously moves the ball down the field, and it all starts at that quarterback position. I mean, when they don't have the type of leadership or a guy that feels that they could take the reins and move you down the field consistently, because we've seen flashes. We saw the first half against Jackson State. We saw where this offense can be good, but they just have not been able to put it together consistently. And I think that Coach McNair makes a great point about being able to put this offense back on track and fix some of those struggles.
I've seen several giant steps in terms of what we do. It's just that we shoot ourselves in the foot. And it's hard for any play caller to go 2nd and 20, 2nd and 21. I don't care what league you're in, 2nd and 21 is a tough decision. It's challenging for an offensive play caller to make those calls and put yourself in a situation where you can manage a down situation. And we look at those things too as well, in terms of what we call and how we can call it, that maybe we can execute.
Southern still dealing with these quarterback issues. Ashton Struther did start last week. I expect him to get the start again tonight. It didn't really work out with Cam McCoy as much as they tried. Jalen Woods, they're still being cautious about since he did get that concussion against Mississippi Valley State. So it seems like Struther will get the nod once again. But this offense just trying to find some life. They really just don't have much of a pulse. But when it comes to trying to find a new coach, obviously the Jags want to even get out of the whole SWAC and Southern Jaguar family. They've hired people within that realm before, but maybe they want to broaden their search to a more national level and see who they can find in order to replace Terrence Graves. And Coach Roman Banks, the athletic director, said that they have the resources now to be able to do that.
There's a certain candidate that we think that will meet that criteria as we move forward. And like I say, for me, and for any athletic director, when you can widen your pool, it helps. A coach going to come in by how you're traveling, how you're staying, what you're eating, and all those type of things. Those are real conversations. And then how much money you have to pay a quarterback right off the bat, right? And so there are some things that we have to do to go get the coach, but there's going to have to be some things in place that haven't been traditional at Southern.
Banks noticing the ever-changing landscape in college football, and he's planning to act on that. I mean, a lot of people are calling for his job as well. But let's take a look at the rest of Southern's schedule. They'll take on FAMU tonight, another team that has been struggling and might face a coaching change of their own. That game gets going at 4 o'clock this afternoon. I will be out there on the Bluff. We'll have all those highlights for you later tonight. But, Hunter, what do you think about Southern winning these last kind of 4 games after FAMU?
It's going to be a tough stretch, but, you know, there's a lot of emotion going into this game against FAMU. I think it's a good bounce back spot for them, for Fred McNair to get his first win as the interim coach. And then you go into a tough stretch. That game, you know, highlighted right now, that Alcorn State game is going to be huge as he returns back there. They're 0-3 to start SWAC play. That could be a good matchup for hopefully Southern to get another win. But those other 2 games in SWAC, or 3 games in SWAC play against Arkansas Pine Bluff, Texas Southern, and Grambling, those are not cupcake games.
No, and especially with Grambling being the Bayou Classic, I mean, that's one of the biggest games of the year every year, and it's always a big rivalry. Southern's gotten the better part of that game the last few years, but Grambling could get an upset. I mean, Southern's kind of down in the dumps, and their opponents want to capitalize off of that. But I mean, a SWAC championship at this point for a team that's 1-6, 0-3 in conference play just does not seem likely. But we'll find out how that all plays out. Let's check out some other games going on around the state. Southeastern at Houston Christian. McNeese going to Nichols for a little Southland battle, and some more going on too, Hunter.
Yeah, that Sam Houston game against La Tech down there tonight's going to be a really good one. Between two teams this year that have had their own struggles, I expect that one to be very entertaining. And like you said, that Jackson State Grambling game, keep your eyes on it as we get closer and closer to the Bayou Classic. Figure out what this Grambling team really is could be Southern's last game on the season, that one. You hope that they finish that one on a good foot, but it's all about FAMU today for Southern.
Absolutely. All right, stay with us. We're going to come back right after this. Hunter McCann has your best bets, and we're going to get you ready for the rest of the day of college football. Don't go anywhere.
Trucks.
Trucks.
And more trucks.
It's Truck Month at Price of One Toyota.
Get our lowest truck month prices on every Tundra and Tacoma. Drive new Tacomas today for $219 a month. Only $219 a month.
Price of One Toyota.
Where our customers come first.
And family makes a difference.
Darling.
Louisiana has big weather, and that can mean big damage to your roof. Call us for a free roof inspection to be sure. If we find damage, we'll even help you file it with your insurance. Protect your home with Ryson Roofing.
Just to be on the safe side.
Chevy makes America's most dependable trucks, like the rugged Colorado, the highly capable Silverado 1500, the powerful Silverado HD, and the uncompromising Silverado EV. In every Chevy truck, dependability comes standard.
It's Chevy Truck Month. Well-qualified buyers can get 2.9% financing for 72 months on all Silverado 1500 models. See your Super Chevy dealers today.
After I decided my pain was too much, and my doctor actually suggested that I do visit the Good Feet store. Pretty amazing when they put the arch supports in your shoe and you walk around and you realize there's not pain, and you think, how can this